Welcome to the RavensSpace on YouTube. My name is Jason, and this is RavensSpace Daily, where we talk about Baltimore Ravens news every single weekday. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the day before the 4th of July. I want to say please subscribe to the RavensSpace on YouTube, and I want to give a special shout out to our Patreon subscribers, because without you guys, this could not happen. Also want to make an announcement that tomorrow, July 4th, there will not be an episode. Again, I'm letting you guys know there will not be an episode of RavensSpace Daily on July 4th, but there will be an episode on that Wednesday, July 5th. And so the first news story deals with the Ravens and their NFL leading third-team suspension since 2010. Now, all these suspensions have to do with the drug policy that the NFL has. And I feel bad because it's continuing a bad trend for the Baltimore Ravens. Again, I like to think of the Baltimore Ravens as a Class A organization, one that gets the right players in the building and does a lot of great things. Now, over the last couple of years, though, we see that there's errors with this judgment. I'll read you the teams that are below us. Cowboys have 12, Giants have 11, Panthers have 11, and Seahawks have 11. So we're at 13. And I'll read you the players that also were being suspended. David Reed, Ryan McBean, Asa Jackson, Christian Thompson, Haloti Ngata, Matt Elam, Nick Boyle, Will Hill, and Kenneth Dixon, and Darren Waller. These players have been suspended for either performance-enhancing drugs, in the case of Haloti Ngata, or banned substances, in the case of Darren Waller, which is weed. And so there's been an issue with the Baltimore Ravens, and ever since the Ray Rice incident, the Ravens are trying to sow a path where they don't take risky players. They try to take clean, good-hearted players, which is a big reason why we took Ronnie Stanley instead of Laramie Tunsil. And so, again, I'll read you a quote that Ozzie Newsome made a couple of months ago about these players and about their issues. I think there are some things within society that are leading to some of the problems that our athletes have, but we do look to see if there are any indicators of that in their past or while they were in school, but a lot of times there are not. And again, to me, this is just Ozzie Newsome talking about weed and the players who smoke weed. And we know that NFL players smoke weed. We know that a lot of people in the world smoke weed. And like I told you guys, I really don't care about that. It's a personal preference thing, whatever you want to do. But when you hurt your team, then it becomes an issue. And the thing that Ozzie is talking about is that in society, weed is not a big deal, right? If you had a friend that smokes weed, if you had a friend that smokes crack, then it's like, a social stigma. But because the weed doesn't have that social stigma, players do it, but the NFL hasn't changed their rules. And in some cases, like in Washington and Denver, weed is legal, right? For example, in Washington, D.C., it's legal to smoke weed, right? And so what does a player do in that situation? It's kind of, tricky. But again, the Ravens lead the NFL in this. So I know this is not good news. This is something that you might not see on BaltimoreRavens.com, but it's the truth and it's a fact that I want to share with you guys. And the second story is back on the good note where we talk about the NFL projections for every first round pick, and how much they're going to play. And so for the Baltimore Ravens, Marlon Humphrey, and this is by ESPN, is ranked 7th. And that blows me out the water with a projected snap percentage of 81%. And again, blown out the water. And I'll read you guys the blurb that they have, and it gives you a reason why they believe this. Humphrey played in 29 of Alabama's 30 games in the past 2 seasons and racked up more snaps last season than any other defensive first-round pick in the 2017 NFL Draft. The Ravens did stockpile defensive backs this offseason, but the season-ending knee injury to Tavon Young should open up the door for Humphrey to see a similar workload for Baltimore. And here I just think it's a case of ESPN being misguided, because what they're saying is that Marlon Humphrey is going to slide into that slot role. We know that's not going to happen. In my head, Kennedy's going to slide into that role, and Marlon will provide insurance for Jimmy Smith and Carr. And so that's why they think it's so high, because they think he's going to be basically a starter, right? If you're in the slot in today's NFL, you do play 81% of the snaps. And so that's what they think. I don't think that's going to be the case. So again, you can't be mad because they do present their logic, but I just think the logic's flawed. I think in real life, Marlon Humphrey will see more of a 30% rate, maybe 40% usage rate, because I really do think that Candy will slide into that role and we'll change Marlon to that backup position until Brandon Carr leaves the team, and then he'll take over the starting spot. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Marlon Humphrey will be in that slot role? I don't, but again, let me know. And the third story of the day is about Eric Weddle and Tony Jefferson and their combination, and how Eric Weddle is already making Tony Jefferson feel more comfortable. This comes from NFL.com, and I'll read you guys the quote from Eric Weddle. "No disrespect to any of the guys I've played with, but it's nice not to have to explain why I do certain things or why I'm doing this in the coverage. From day one, he already had a feel for how I play and how to work off me." Man, basically what this is telling me is that Eric Weddle and Tony Jefferson are getting along great. And you can see Tony Jefferson's instincts and how smart he is. The biggest problem with Eric Weddle last season, which there weren't a lot of problems, but there are some, right? He was not perfect. Is when that you can see that he's thinking, right? When the play is going on, instead of running straight to the spot and making an instinct play, you can see he's thinking, and it'll make him miss a tackle, or he'll break down trying to guess where the runner's going to go, and then the runner is able to get enough for a first down. And I think Tony Jefferson will make him more instinctful. I think that Tony Jefferson has the best instincts in the NFL of any position. And I say that because when you watch Tony Jefferson play, you see him making plays that are so quick, it kind of feels like he doesn't have to think about it. Now, I'm going to give you guys a surprise. I'm going to foreshadow. On Thursday, the highlight video we have going up is the top 5 plays of Tony Jefferson. Watch that video and you'll see exactly what I'm saying, where he makes plays and those plays happen in split seconds and he makes them happen. So I think Eric Weddle and Tony Jefferson together will be a great combination. And I think Tony Jefferson will make Eric Weddle better. And I'm super excited to see those two match up this season. And like we do at the end of every single RavensSpace Daily, we answer a question from you guys, the RavensSpace community. And this question comes from Sergio. And Sergio asks, after Darren Waller getting suspended, who do you think is the most reliable tight end aside from Nick Boyle? Thank you so much for your question, Sergio. And I picked this question in particular because the way that the question was asked shows me that Sergio watches the show. Thank you so much, Sergio, because you know I love Nick Boyle, and that would have been my answer. But if it's not Nick Boyle, the answer is also easy. It's Crockett Gilmore. Of the 3 that are out who are left, so you have to take Nick Boyle out because you asked me to. But out of Crockett Gilmore, Ben Watson, and Max Williams, I think Max Williams is a player who is not as talented as people want to make him seem. And I think Ben Watson is just old and has no connection with Joe Flacco. But I know for a fact that Crockett Gilmore has some connection with Joe Flacco and can make plays and has experience in the NFL. So I think if it's not Nick Boyle, it'll be Crockett Gilmore. And to be honest, Nick Boyle and Crockett Gilmore are very close to each other. I think that Joe probably even trusts Crockett Gilmore more, but I like Nick Boyle, and I think that he's a better player in the long run. And so I think that the time that he has with Joe now will be helpful to the Ravens. So again, to answer your question, after Nick Boyle, I would choose Crockett Gilmore to be the comfort blanket for Joe Flacco. So thank you so much for your question. And that is it for today's episode. I want to thank you guys so much. I want to give another shout out to our Patreon subscribers. Also want to repeat that there will be no episode tomorrow, July 4th. And check us out on our different social media. Subscribe to the RavensSpace on YouTube for more great videos. Thank you guys so much, and go Ravens.